Meghan Markle's return to American morning television had been carefully orchestrated by her new media team, timed perfectly to coincide with the rollout of her latest lifestyle brand initiative, multi-tiered women's empowerment network. Bundled with eco-conscious merchandise and a digital mentorship program, after a series of lukewarm public responses to her previous ventures, her advisors saw Good Morning America as the ideal platform for a brand reset, wholesome, high visibility, and historically friendly to celebrity narratives. What they hadn't accounted for, however, was the rising internal pressure within the GMA newsroom to shift back toward hard-hitting journalism, particularly after a season of criticism accusing the show of going soft on its high-profile guests. The choice to have Robin Roberts conduct the interview had been strategic from both sides. Robin for her credibility and calm demeanor, Meghan for her comfort with powerful women of color who she believed would understand her uniquely charged position in both media and monarchy. But beneath that calculated arrangement simmered a quiet undercurrent of tension. Meghan arrived at the Times Square studio in a powder blue silk blouse and tailored trousers, her face calm but her movements clipped, betrayed by an overly tight grip on her assistant's elbow as they swept past the lobby cameras. Inside, production assistants rushed to complete last-minute audio checks and lighting adjustments. Meghan's team had submitted a long list of sensitivity notes ahead of the segment, including preferred phrasing, off-limits topics, and a suggested emphasis on charitable rather than commercial angles. GMA producers, although accommodating in tone, privately bristled at the attempt to frame editorial structure, especially given the show's slipping ratings and the need for authentic and ideally viral moments. Robin arrived 10 minutes before airtime, coffee in hand, eyes scanning the off-show rundown with a seasoned eye. She said nothing when handed Meghan's list of requests, but tapped her pen quietly against the paper, the only indication of how she felt about being handed pre-approved talking points from a guest. In the green room, Meghan was all smiles during hair and makeup, though she kept glancing at her phone and whispering with her PR lead, who reminded her gently to remain composed, even if the energy shifted on set.
Meghan had done 100
interviews before, but this one felt different. There was something colder, more clinical about the studio air. The lighting was just a little too bright, the hallway chatter a little too muted. When the stage manager called 5 minutes, Meghan stood up, gave one final check to her blouse in the mirror, and exhaled through her nose. The performance was about to begin, though neither she nor Robin truly knew how off-script it would go. As the countdown in the studio reached 0, the opening jingle of Good Morning America rolled out across millions of screens. The polished graphics dancing with familiar enthusiasm. The camera panned to Robin Roberts, seated with a professional smile that hinted at composure forged over decades of live television. Beside her sat Meghan Markle, poised in her chair with a diplomatic half-smile and the polished elegance of someone who had been media-trained too. Within an inch of spontaneity, the first few moments of the segment proceeded smoothly, with Robin offering a warm, if slightly formal, welcome and Meghan thanking the show for having her. The opening questions were light, covering motherhood, the balance of public life with private wellness, and her recent move into entrepreneurship, but behind Robin's pleasant tone was a subtle recalibration, a gradual tightening of the interview's focus. It began when Robin pivoted unexpectedly from the soft topics to mention Meghan's Netflix projects, asking her if she believed they were truly documentary in spirit or more stylized storytelling. Meghan blinked, not because the question was aggressive, but because it wasn't part of the soft trajectory her team had previewed. "We believe in telling authentic stories," she said, her voice even. "People deserve transparency." Robin nodded, then followed with, "And yet many feel they haven't heard much from the people who were portrayed in those stories, the other side, as it were. What would you say to viewers who feel like it was a one-sided narrative?" The smile on Meghan's face flickered for just a moment before returning. "There's always more to every story, Robin, but our truth matters too," she replied, the edge in her tone barely concealed. It was the first indication that the conversation might not stay within comfortable bounds. Behind the camera, producers leaned forward slightly, their eyes fixed on Robin's expression. She had gone off script, but not recklessly. Her next question zeroed in on the reported friction between Meghan and staff members from her time as a working royal, a subject Meghan's team had explicitly marked as off-limits. There were headlines about high turnover in your team, both during your time in the UK and since. Some former aides alleged they felt dismissed or marginalized. Do you feel there's any truth to the idea that you were a difficult boss? Meghan inhaled sharply, but kept her smile intact. It's interesting how leadership in women is often interpreted as difficult, she said, her voice lower now. I don't think those conversations ever happen about male executives. Robin didn't flinch. True, she said. Right. Are you suggesting all of those claims were rooted in sexism alone? Meghan leaned forward slightly, her voice tightening. I'm suggesting that context matters. And what's often missing from these narratives is empathy. The tension between the two women, once invisible under the surface, was now radiating palpably across the studio. A low hum seemed to settle in the room, not from any sound, but from the sense that something unscripted and raw had begun to take form, and there would be no turning back. Meghan adjusted her posture. The shift subtle but sharp, like armor being fitted mid-battle. Robin's face remained composed, but her eyes betrayed a level of quiet calculation. The mark of a journalist trained to spot an opening and press it gently but persistently. Context is important, she agreed, but so is accountability. Is there any part of you that looks back and wonders whether something could have been handled differently? Meghan let a short silence hang before responding, choosing her words with the same deliberate caution she applied to palace protocol during her royal years. I think every human reflects, she said, voice smooth but steely. But I also know that women, particularly women of color, are too often expected to apologize for making people uncomfortable when they assert boundaries. That answer might have landed to applause on another stage, another platform. But this was live television, and Robin wasn't about to leave rhetorical punches unchallenged. But is it setting a boundary, she followed, or is it silencing criticism? Because some say it's hard to tell the difference in the way your narrative has been controlled. The word controlled struck something. Meghan's expression stiffened, lips flattening slightly. She tilted her head just so and replied, There's a difference between controlling a narrative and correcting a false one. I have lived through years of distortions, Robin, and the media has profited greatly from that distortion. Robin held her ground. Yet you've also built a platform off that story, haven't you? Turning trauma into brand value? That's a question some viewers have. Meghan's jaw visibly clenched, though her smile didn't crack. I don't monetize pain, she said quietly. I transform it. That's what resilience looks like. There was a beat of silence, and then Robin asked, with disarming calm, Then why trademark your royal title? It was a pivot so abrupt and so charged that even the cameramen involuntarily adjusted the frame. Meghan blinked hard once, then chuckled, though it lacked humor. Do you ask male royals why they license their coats of arms? She asked. No, I imagine not, Robin responded. We ask anyone who appears to blur the line between public service and private profit. That's not gendered, that's public. Interest. The moment felt like a chess match nearing checkmate. Polite, precise, but undergirded with rising intensity.
Meghan's reply came slow.
It's always public interest when it's me, isn't it? She said when others
use their heritage to build businesses, it's legacy. When I do, it's scandal. Robin's expression remained neutral. But her pen tapped twice on her notepad. Not a cue, not a signal, just a reflex that telegraphed tension. Off-screen, Meghan's publicist was already texting someone in all caps. Inside the control room, there was a pause in the usual hum of intercom chatter. The producers knew something rare was unfolding. Not a PR fumble, not a celebrity meltdown, something colder, more combustible. Meghan, the symbol of modern royalty reframed as an American entrepreneur, had entered the studio expecting grace and applause. Instead, she found herself in a power duel against a broadcast titan who refused to blink first.